Hi there, I'm Krista. I'm going to guide you through the next little 5-minute movement break, which is perfect for people who find themselves seated a good chunk of the day behind their desk and computer. So breaking up the day with just these little less than 5-minute movement breaks can be so beneficial in helping you manage your posture, aches and pains and things that come up when we sit too much or when we're laying down or just in general in one position for far too long. I always like to tell people there's no bad position for your body. It's just that you're never meant to stay in one position for too long. Your body craves movement. So that's what this is all about, this 5-minute movement break. So settle in, grab your chair, and we're going to get started. All right, so go ahead and just find yourself a chair. Obviously, the whole purpose of this is to make sure you're able to do this at your desk. So, everybody's desk or chairs are going to be a little bit different, but this is the chair I'm choosing to use. I'm going to demonstrate a few things with the Pilates ball. It's like I think 8 to 10 inch Pilates ball. It might be worth having. They deflate easily. They're great to travel with. But it's not necessary. So feel free to, you don't have to use this at all. But if you do, just have it near your desk and it can be helpful to get a little more into certain movements. So first things first, I'm going to set this down. We often sit at our desks with our head forward, okay, with that chin leading way out in front of the rest of the spine. And that can be really hard on the neck. So we just want to practice getting that head back in the center of the spine and kind of work on strengthening those muscles in the front of the neck that are our extenders here, or extensors, excuse me. So bring your hands together, place the hands behind the head, kind of right closer to the base of the head. And now if you just kind of relax, the head is probably going to be pushed forward. So go ahead and let that happen for a moment. And maybe right away you notice there's a little bit of pain in that neck. From here, all we're going to do is push the head back, kind of creating a nice little double chin for ourselves, and then relax and press back. Hold, try to hold for 3 to 4 seconds. Really give yourself that beautiful double chin and release. And again, press and release. All right, next, we're simply going to find a little extension here. So this is where I'll demonstrate both with or without the ball. Sometimes, depending if you have like a higher back chair, you might need the ball because it might be difficult. So I'll demonstrate quickly without it. So if you don't have the chair or don't have the ball, you're going to bring yourself back into the chair. Again, hands behind the head, and you're going to extend that upper back over the chair. So for me, this chair back hits me kind of right around mid shoulder blade area. If it's much higher, you're going to struggle to find this nice extension. And then hold it for a few seconds, and then come out of it. So you should feel every time I do this the first couple times, and I do this many times a day, there's at least like 3 or 4 cracks, and it feels great. And release. So you keep doing that if you don't have the ball. If you have the ball, okay, and sometimes you can use a cushion or something, and you could try it with a foam roller. It might just be harder to hold it in place, but if you have a smaller one, that might also work. And you're going to scooch away. So the ball's going right behind kind of where the shoulder blades are. You just want to make sure that butt is in line with the shoulders. Again, hands behind the head, and extend over the ball and release. Now, if you're using the ball, or you might even do this when you're using the just regular chair, but I want you to do just a slight tuck of the lower back or tuck of the tailbone so that it's the upper body extending over, so you're not just going into the lumbar, which can sometimes create a little too much pressure, okay, or compression on that lower back. You can remove the ball if you happen to be using it. If not, either way, scooch forward a little bit on your chair so your feet are flat. All right, you're going to inhale, bring your right arm high, and exhale, you're going to reach that left arm towards the floor, feeling that nice lengthening sensation on that right side. You're going to cartwheel the arms and reach down towards the other side. And I often find looking down at the floor feels better for my neck. But if you want to bring it to the side or look to forward, you can. Just try not to cock your neck too much. Try to keep it in line with the spine. So again, just side to side. Again, our spine craves movement. When we don't move it, that's when things tend to go awry. So it doesn't have to be fancy. A couple more times each side. Really reaching towards the floor and reaching that top hand up and over. And then bring it to center. From here, once more, bring your hands. You can either just bring them right behind the ears or maybe interlace behind the head, but don't let the hands push the head forward. So you can kind of do double duty and push the head into the hands, working those neck extensors or those cervical extensors, all right? Or just rest them behind the ears, okay? So ground down those hips, all right? Nice and weighted into that chair. And we're simply gonna go into a spinal twist, okay? So doing your best to square the shoulders to one direction and come back to center. And then the other direction, my hips are staying stable. So kind of think, if you're turning to the left, think about pulling that right hip back and vice versa. And don't let that chin lead out in front. Push the head into the hands, centering that head on the spine. And again, hands. Again, if you have a ball, this is where I'm going to demonstrate with it, and then I'll demonstrate without it. So if you have a ball, and if you don't have a ball, either way, you're going to sit like halfway forward on your chair. Make sure those feet are grounded. If you have a ball, you're going to place it kind of behind that lower back tailbone area. And again, you're just going to make sure that the shoulders are still right over the hips so that your shoulders aren't further back, or vice versa. Same thing if you don't have the ball. You just want to make sure that you're in that upright position, stacking shoulders over hips. And we're just going to go into a gentle pelvic tuck, just starting to kind of wake up our abdominal muscles a little bit. So we're going to sit up tall here. Think about that invisible string from the pubic bone coming out the top of the head. And you're going to take an inhale, trying to get maybe a little taller, getting those back muscles working. Exhale, you're going to tuck the tailbone under, pulling the belly in. If you have the ball there, you're going to feel the pressure of the ball, which is great tactile feedback. If you don't, you're not going to have that, but you should feel the lower abdominals pulling up and in. Inhale back to a neutral spine. Exhale, tuck and up. And exhale, tuck, pulling the belly up and in. And we're just trying to mobilize that pelvis a little bit. Okay, our pelvis also is meant to kind of move forward and back and side to side. So we want to make sure that it is able to do that. Good. Come back into that neutral spine. Make sure that your ribs aren't popping way out in front, because that again can sometimes be hard on the lower back. So we want those ribs stacked right over the hips. Okay. And then from here, you can just go ahead. I'm going to leave the ball there because it doesn't need to go anywhere. If you don't have the ball, it's fine. We're not going to use it. It's just going to hang there. Bring your hands around like you're giving yourself kind of a little hug, resting them on your shoulders. All right. And we're just going to flex forward. So I want you to think about sinking in your sternum or sinking in that clavicle, kind of rounding the upper body. And then I want you to kind of side bend to the left and then come back around to the right and forward. So imagine there's maybe a paintbrush on the top of your head and you're trying to paint perfect little circles on the ceiling. Or again, working the core here as well as mobilizing the spine, but getting those obliques working here as well to help create that nice circle with that upper body, which is known as your thoracic spine. And hold on this last one, flexing forward, and we're just going to reverse directions. And other direction, and around. And think about drawing that belly up and in. It can help, again, to find better core connection, which never hurts. And just make sure, again, the hips are stable. So I don't necessarily want the hips moving right here. The hips are evenly distributing weight on both sides, on those sit bones. Maybe is a better cue. One more time. And flex forward. Come up into that nice neutral position. All right, from here, we're going to come to standing, and we're going to use our chair to come to the back of the chair. Just bring this a little more forward. And we're going to start with some just kind of basic hip flexor quad stretches. So this shouldn't be anything crazy to people, but it can be really beneficial. So, and there's ways to do it more correctly, I guess. Use the chair for balance. Grab your left foot. All right, now make sure your knees are in line with with each other. What I see a lot of times is the knee is way forward or people pull it way back. I just want those knees in line. And then I want you to give that left glute a good squeeze so you can feel that lengthening the hip flexor here as well as the quad. That again, when you're seated all day, tends to be in that kind of flexed, that muscles in that short position, and we're just trying to lengthen it out. Keep squeezing that left glute. Release and go ahead and switch sides. And you can still use the chair or bear for balance. You just have to move the other side, but I'm going to stay here so you can see me better. And again, squeeze the right glute this time, knees together. Kind of do your best to stay upright without popping the ribs out. Okay. That nice lengthening, that stretching, and ease into it. Okay. Don't try to do too much too soon. You know, I want you to feel a stretch, but we don't want to strain anything. We've been sitting for a long period of time. So work your way up to it. And release. All right, from here, you're just going to want to make sure you have some space behind your chair. You're going to place your hands on the back of the chair and walk your feet back so that your feet are right under the hips. Okay, so you're almost in this half square position. And you're just going to let your chest fall towards the floor. And you should feel a nice chest opener, shoulder opener, and for me, that little bit of extension in that upper back, that thoracic spine, which always feels super good. All right, and then from here, all we're gonna do, okay, is take an inhale, holding where we are. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, draw the belly in, and we're rounding the spine. Inhale, let the belly drop, gravity kind of do its thing. Exhale, round, pulling everything up and in, flexing the spine, pushing the spine towards the ceiling. And inhale, let the belly and the chest fall towards the floor. Exhale, round. And just continue this about 4 more times. Might also feel a really big stretch for your hamstrings for some people that are really tight. Think about reaching that butt when you're letting your chest fall towards the floor. Reach your butt further behind you to get that nice hamstring stretch, which is the back of the legs. Inhale 1 more time. Exhale, round. And inhale in this neutral position. Okay, so from here, we're just going to think about bringing our left hip towards our left bottom rib. That makes sense. You should feel a nice stretch on the right side. Like you think, so imagine you're a dog that has a tail. Okay, so we're gonna wag our tail to the left, come back to center, wag our tail to the right, feel that stretch down the left, and center, wag our butt to the left, and center, and right. So we're feeling that nice stretch in that side body again. 1 more time each side. Not a huge movement. Okay, again, we're still focusing on those hamstrings as well. And release. All right, and go ahead and bring yourself up to standing once more. Next, so this might be a little more intense for some people. So again, ease into it. You're going to place your elbows on the back of the chair. Now, I have a very narrow back, so this is a little tight for me, but I can make it work. You're going to walk those feet back again. You're going to think about reaching your butt back towards the wall behind you. Just let your hands come towards like the bottom of your neck or top of your shoulders. Okay, and you're just, again, going to let that chest fall towards the floor. You should feel, again, a really nice stretch in the shoulders, in the chest, and then also maybe the triceps as well, and those arms. Just take a few deep breaths. So ideally, I'd have a little wider chair back, but it's a cheap IKEA chair, so they want to use as little material as possible. So hopefully your chair's a little wider. And release. And then from here, go ahead and just let your hands fall towards the floor. Let your head hang heavy. So your feet or your hands may not touch the floor. That's okay. Just let gravity do its thing. Okay, look between your knees. Let your head be nice and heavy. Now soften your knees. Bend them as much as you need to actually get your hands to touch the floor. Take a deep inhale. Exhale. Tuck the tailbone under and begin to peel up 1 vertebra at a time. Bring your head centered on the spine and release. So there you have it, a quick little 5-minute movement break that can be super beneficial to helping manage your posture as well as kind of those basic aches and pains that often come up from that sedentary lifestyle. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you're interested and enjoy what I do, you should absolutely join me for some of my class series that you can find on my website at thegoodmvmt.com. Thanks so much.